Hello, everyone. This is going to be. This is not a raw reaction, but this is just my thoughts on the Godzilla Save the Earth Melee presentation from at the time it was yesterday. I already watched it live. I didn't plan on making a video or anything on it, but I figured maybe I could, put out my thoughts because I definitely think that this project deserves the attention that it's getting. Honestly, do not understand this reference. I understand. The Vortok ship drop Orga down makes a little bit of sense. But this was a very, very, very confusing cutscene. I understand they're trying to do kind of like what Smash does. But I really didn't understand this part. But talk shit. So obviously they added in the Seattle map. So someone who's seen Godzilla 2000 more recently, I don't recall Orga's shoulder cannon sucking people in. I don't remember it having any magnetic properties in the movie, but I'm willing to be wrong on that. I just don't remember that. And I understand because the Pipeworks games themselves took a little bit of creative liberty with the characters' abilities. So this isn't unheard of for even for the game it's in, or even the character, because I think Orga had like an ectoplasm shot that he didn't have in the movie. I just don't understand the reference. The new ability to absorb beams and stuff. I have two thoughts on this. One, that's an excellent use of the character's actual like ability because obviously he tries to eat Godzilla. That I like that. I'm curious. So, I remember at one time reading that the models had to be changed, but they had to keep the same number of vertices. So, I'm wondering if it's something similar with like the animations and stuff. And if so, I wonder if his jaw just kind of unclenches every time he does it, every time he does the beam attack, and it's just reusing the effect that is generated by the enemy. So basically, it just borrows the resource. I'm wondering how that works. As far as a technical, I'm a programmer, so as far as the technical side goes, I'm curious how that works. I'm also curious how they got the power poles, the power lines in, because if I remember correctly, I think Simon Strange said that the power lines were like really difficult, or for some reason, like first there was a technical issue preventing them from being in the game, or Godzilla Unleashed. I'm wondering why that was, but I'm curious as to how they actually got that in there because obviously it looks cool, and the fact that you can like throw monsters at it and then they rebound off of it because of the electrical zap. That's cool, and I really like that. I'm just curious as to how it looks on a technical level. Combo potential really seems like it's been amplified. Oh, he still has the ectoplasm. Huh. Interesting. I didn't realize that during the trailer. I just now realized that. I also like the fact that his beam is magnetic now makes his rage move actually kind of work. Okay, I'm gonna be 100% honest. When I saw this the first time, two things popped into my head. One, I thought of the Godzilla Rulers of Earth comic where he goes inside of Orga and then grows to massive size and like splits him apart. Because it is Jet Jaguar, he does do that. The other thing I thought, and I'm hoping this is in the game because as we'll see later in this, there's gonna be alternate skins for each character. I was kind of like wondering if they were going to do like a reveal where they had the firefighter Jet Jaguar and the medical Jet Jaguar from the Godzilla Island not cartoon, the show. I was wondering if they were going to do something with that here. Obviously, as we'll see in a second, I'm happy they went with what they did, but that's where I thought this was going. Anybody watched this the first time and didn't immediately know that this was going to be a Godzilla 2000 reveal off of that alone, you need to watch more your Godzilla movies more. I remember that. I was like, oh. obviously. And then I think this part is a reference to the end of Godzilla 2000, but then it transitions into a kind of pseudo end of, or not ending of, Terror of Mechagodzilla. It's kind of a reference to that, um, 1975, but obviously with Godzilla 2000 instead of Mega Rogoji. One thing I am curious about, I'm wondering if they're going to be using because spoiler, there's going to be all the Millennium Godzillas are basically going to share the same character and they're just going to be skins of each other. I'm wondering if it's possible for them to add the English dub version of Godzilla 2000, if they add the Godzilla 98 roars to this version of Godzilla. Because I'll be honest, the 98 roars on the Godzilla 2000 character would probably be my preference. I don't know if they're going to do that, because, like I said, all the other Millennium Godzillas are on this character, but that's what I would like, and I'm wondering if there's going to be like an option for that. I think that was a shot in Godzilla 2000, if I don't recall correctly. I believe this, like this him walking by, I believe that's a reference to, I think that's a reference to Destroy All Monsters Melee proper, because I believe in the opening to that game, he does that. He like walks around like that. I can't be the only person who initially thought when I saw this, I was like, oh, it's Godzilla Save the Earth Melee plus Godzilla Unleashed. My first thought was, oh, we're getting Biolante into the game. Because I feel like Unleashed, Biolante is like the character I associate with that game. Obviously, there's Crystalek and Obsidius, but when I think of Godzilla Unleashed, like the monster that I associate with it is Biolante. So the fact that it's not that, which is fine, but that was my first thought. I hope they do one of two things with the roar that we just saw. Because that was Godzilla's taunt in Unleashed We. There is a lot of dead air at the end of that taunt. Like, he just, like, goes for, like, a solid second. And I would either hope they either trim the animation so that it ends pretty quickly and you don't get stuck with all that. Or have some kind of like taunt canceling. I would probably never even use it just because that's the way I am. But they need to. The end of that taunt has always bothered me ever since I was a teenager. Obviously, this is the new boxing ring, and it looks good. It looks like it's been styled. The background looks like it's been styled after the main menu of Destroy All Monsters Melee because it's a little red. I'll be honest. The first thing I thought this was, um, I might as well talk about this right now. Obviously, there is a PlayStation 2 version of Godzilla Unleashed, and the first thought that I had when I saw this, before I realized it was the boxing ring, my first thought was, oh, they found a way to backport all the stages from Godzilla Unleashed for the PlayStation 2 into Save the Earth. Because Unleashed on the PlayStation 2 is basically just Save the Earth. I don't. I want to say it's Save the Earth 2, but it's so bad in comparison that it almost isn't. But I mean, the stages are fine, and you might as well. I mean, if you could, as my programmer brain makes me want to believe that it wouldn't be that difficult, but at the same time, I'm sure there's different file formats and stuff. So I like that they were able to incorporate that's my favorite throw of Godzilla's. Well, I played on PlayStation, so the circle throw for Godzilla 2000 is a little bit long. So I imagine if that one's been kept, it's been sped up. But the square throw, which is the one he just did, that one's my favorite. I'm glad they found a way to incorporate that and into his like combo game. One of the things that I've been wondering about, because I watched Moist Critical watch a lot of the competitive stuff, and I've watched a lot of the competitive stuff that wasn't in that video after the fact. And as someone who used to play, I played competitive Smash in college, but it wasn't like super high level. But I was watching it and I was seeing all the things they were doing to the characters, and it was obvious that if you just put Godzilla in as just like the Ryu, like the just like the Mario of the game, he wasn't gonna be able to really keep up. And when I saw that, so there's a technical aspect and there's a competitive aspect. The competitive aspect is that they're trying to give Godzilla tools to kind of that's I think that's a reference to Generator G1, and the reason I say that is because on the technical side, I believe a lot of what they used in that was it's a reused effect from when you collect a G cell in the story mode of Godzilla Save the Earth action mode. So that's an interesting thing. The only thing is that as the skins later show, GMK Godzilla is a skin for Godzilla 2000, and he doesn't have a healing ability. He doesn't have a healing factor. Like, that's a really nitpicky thing. I'm not actually complaining about it. What would be interesting is if they on that version on the GMK skin, if they made it so that the effect is like yellow, either yellow or white. Because I can imagine you could just say, well, it's the souls of the dead from World War II that are healing Godzilla instead. If you made it yellow, that would be a reference to when Ghidorah blasts Godzilla. Obviously, he absorbs all that energy. So you could, if you recolored it to be yellow, it would make more sense to me. But only on the GMK skin. I don't know how that works. Like, I don't know if you could have that effect be recolored for one and not for the other. I mean, my lazy ass, if I was coding it, I'd just basically just make a separate asset and just recolor it. It would basically be identical. It would just have a different color scheme, but that's what I would do. But I'm glad that they added it nonetheless. The fact that they added the body slam, kudos to whoever did that. That is like the dumbest thing that has ever happened in a god in a modern in the millennium era. That's probably the dumbest thing that ever happened. But the fact they put it in, I wonder what that replaces. I'm assuming it replaces the jump kick. Okay, so before we get to this part, I just want to ask, is the swimming animation, is that just his like run animation if he's in water of a certain depth, or is that like a separate thing, or is that just for the trailer? I'm assuming it's just his running animation in the water. Now this is interesting. When I was talking about the Regenerator G1 thing, I feel like this is something that they've added to buff Godzilla 2000 in a competitive way. Curious. I'm really curious how that's going to shake out in like a competitive sort of setting. I'm really interested. Because I mean it's not that complicated from a programming perspective. You're just having Godzilla hold his pose and just shoot out a couple additional fireballs. Um, they aren't they aren't homing ones as far as I can tell, and they're not homing in the game. I mean, they obviously go towards the opponent, but they don't look like they've been buffed in any other way other than you can shoot multiple of them, which I think is a good idea, especially since it seems to me that they don't have the ammo anymore. They've taken away the ammo. So it's probably a good idea that they made it so you can kind of shoot out more than one fireball. But I'm curious as to how that works. Before it goes to this next thing, I just want to say congratulations, because that right here, not this, I know that's a reference to Godzilla 2000. That's a reference to Godzilla 2000 when it comes to shore. And I know this because recently I've rewatched the theatrical trailer for Godzilla 2000, which is hype as shit. But that was clearly a reference to when he comes to shore in Godzilla 2000. Excellent shot, great skin. Everyone knew they were going to do that. Now, Godzilla 2002 and Godzilla 2003. All of these are good. I'm actually really impressed. Godzilla 2001 actually looks really good because, like I said, I think the way they do the model changes is that they have to have the same number of vertices. So the fact they were able to get, they were basically able to take a Godzilla 2000 model and basically just, kind of move stuff around to be Godzilla 2001. Excellent. Excellent work. I never really thought that the classic Save the Earth model was all that bad, but it really highlights just how different it is and how apparently it was rushed. I didn't know this and I don't know this for a fact, so if someone can confirm it. I didn't know, but apparently the Save the Earth Godzilla 90s and Godzilla 2000 models are like the most rushed ones in the game, which when you put it next to, I mean, obviously the Unleashed colors, I don't really like the Unleashed colors. Green Godzilla is lame, but the model itself, the new model is excellent. But I didn't realize just how bare bones the original model was. That was an excellent transition to Godzilla 2004. As others have pointed out, I'm curious whether 2004 is his own character or not. Because as you'll see in a second, he gets the red spiral ray as his rage move. But previously, he showed that he could use Godzilla 2000 can use his atomic the nuclear pulse. So I'm wondering if how that works. Is the fireball not his special like? I guess the fireball is his quick fire on the trigger, and maybe the atomic blast, the nuclear pulse is his L2R2 move, his special move. So I'm not sure how that works. So there's an after credit scene. The fact that they're putting in anything related to Godzilla Unleashed Double Smash is just amazing. I hope that I've never played it, but I hope that Godzilla Dominations, the color schemes, are at least alternate skins in the game. If I were to guess, these are probably going to be alternate skins. Um, as someone else pointed out, I don't know how they'll manage if they're alternate skins. I don't know how these models will rig onto the other skins in the game. But regardless of how they're doing it, this is cool. Uh, my only request is that somehow, some way, somewhere, the Paris song gets into the game. Even if there isn't a Paris stage, the Paris song in Double Smash is like the only good thing about that game to me. So anyway, yeah, this was a hell of an after credits thing. Like for any Godzilla fan, this was just in general though, that was a really awesome presentation and I just figured I'd this wasn't a reaction, but the Twitter account for Save the Earth Melee wanted people to react to it. So I didn't. This wasn't a like a live reaction, but I hope everyone enjoyed. And anyone who has anything to relate to what I was talking about in this video, please leave your comments because they're definitely adding Mozugoji. So that's 1964. Which I mean, duh. But Showa Godzilla has not been revealed yet, and from what I understand, they're doing. There's going to be a Showa Godzilla, a Heisei Godzilla, and a Millennium Godzilla, and obviously we saw the Millennium Godzilla today. I wonder if they're going to have the announcer record Godzilla 2001, Godzilla 2003, or if they're going to do Myra Goji, or and then Kiryu Goji, Final Goji. I'm curious what that is. Because I've wanted for years, I know this is going to sound stupid, but I've wanted for years to just hear the announcer say different monsters that weren't in the game and just say their names and stuff. But with that many versions of Godzilla, I'm curious as to how they're going to have the announcer work on that. But yeah, I'm excited. Oh, they also They're adding Mechagodzilla 2021, so the Mechagodzilla from versus Kong. Mechagodzilla 2021 has an ass design, and I don't care who you are or what you think. It's a horrible design. It's dog shit. But the fact that it's in the game is good. I don't care. I just won't use it. There's like pictures. I think they were working on Varan. We don't know for sure. Like from what I understand, and as a programmer, I get it. They're trying to work within the confines of the clone system, and they have to deal with the number of vertices on the model, and they have to deal with the kind of how the character moves. And I believe they were using Anguirus as a basis for Show of Varan, or well, I mean Varan. There is no Millennium Varan, but from what I understand, they ran into a kind of hitch with that. So I'm curious how that's going. But obviously, if I were to make one critique of this, it's that it's kind of a slow roll. Like there's not really a lot in this trailer. I know I've said that it's not a bad reveal. It's just that I can't be the only one that was expecting more. But anything at all is good. This is legitimately the only thing keeping the uh, Godzilla gaming kind of landscape moving at all. And the fact that it's got as much attention as it has is good. So, um, those are just my thoughts. Leave yours down in the comments. I just thought I'd put something out so that this would get a little bit more exposure.